Guys, welcome back to a brand new edition, full time Reds, along with MUFC Realist TV. I am your host, Bilal. Today, I'm joined by my very good friend, weekly partner in crime, Mick Ruby from MUFC Realist TV. Mick, how are you?
Oh, it's good to be here, Bilal. If you ask me how I feel like to be a Manchester United fan, as per usual, there might be different answers, but, barring that we lost that 4-0 um, at Sellers Park. So I think I got over it, but I think we're going to discuss about that. We have, ah,
Absolutely.
I
We're
mean, we
going to
have one
cover.
FA Cup and 3 games left to play in the Prem. And honest to God, as a fan, I feel robbed this whole season. And as a broadcaster and independent journalist, I just want the season to finish. It's been relentless.
Ab- Absolutely. In today's episode, we're going to cover a lot. What we're not going to try doing is going over um the Palace game, which has been done numerously by Mix on his channel. We've done it. Others
Yeah.
have done it. There's no point in going over, and we're going to try touching upon where we feel things are going wrong. What should, if it continues to go wrong, Ten Hag stay in until the final? Thoughts on the Thomas Tuchel links and Hansi Flick links. I'm also going to throw a few other names in there, which me and Mick have discussed in the past, like Potter, Unai Emery. I'm going to look at what needs to happen in the summer, what changes need to happen, and we're going to look at Jadon Sancho and is he overhyped? If you have not subscribed, please do so. This is a pre-record, so if you're watching it on Mick's channel, my channel, please do leave a comment on what you think of these, how we can improve them, and how we can go forward on them. So, Mick, I'm going to start off. Look, Mick, we've had numerous discussions, and to give credit to yourself, um, you might still be. I don't know. I've not had this conversation with you. You were a Ten Hag supporter, which is fine. I was a Ten Hag. I was a Ten Hag supporter. You probably still are a Ten Hag supporter. We all want Ten Hag to do well, but if we try to dissect where this has gone wrong, where do you feel the whole season has gone wrong in your opinion?
Wow. This might take some time, and so cut me some slack because we need to trim that lard at the bacon in the summer, which means player power, 100%. Yes, I am a backer of Ten Hag, and I was so in the first season because, well, let's start with the first season. We saw how Ten Hag transformed this bunch of players, the pompadons, the prima donnas, into winners. Like, let's start with that one first. He walked in. He instantly changed the training routine, the way we behave, the cultural, right? He had to deal with Cristiano Ronaldo. We saw more of a disciplined track coach manager that got us over the line, finishing third and winning our silverware. Like, we're talking about Carabao Cup in the first place. So let's not forget about that in the first place. So, of course, second season in his tenure, it's time to elevate. According to what you saw, that interview with Gary Neville on the overlap, right? So
Yeah,
I saw that the interview and agreed with every single answer he gave us because he actually addressed the problems, right? And we cannot go by this podcast without talking about that Manchester United had the most injuries in the whole, out of everyone in the Premier League, over 65 types of injuries, and the back line as well. So potentially, I think what he said, he wanted to change the playing style. He wanted to play more of a high line, and hence why I recruited on Andrew Onana as a sweeper keeper and Mason Mount as well. He wanted Harry Kane. He didn't get Harry Kane. He didn't get backed. And you can arguably to say that Bilal, he worked on the structure that was non-existent, right? He tried to elevate now, finishing third, and that season got derailed 100%. Of course he got money to spend in the summer, but they were stingy in terms of the FFPs. We even have to go to the summer to do a loan deal for Amrabat in the final minutes. So what are you supposed to do? What Ten Hag said, like, you look at the ability of that squad players, you cannot play the style of play that I wanted. And he got the question, did you ever think to go pragmatic? And he said yes, but I want to continue playing this style, which is more progressive high line, because if I have to change and all these players coming back, then it's going to be really difficult to change. So results don't lie, Bilal, and patience within the fan base. We know it. It's it's
But
very very short.
can I can I can I ask you a sub question then? Let me ask you a sub question, right? I look just so the viewers understand my position on where I am coming from. I was a huge Ten Hag backer all last season and the start of this season. And like I've said on many shows, it was the Tottenham game at home when Tottenham played their third midfield and played us off the park, where I kind of started to question his decisions. But I'm going to try keeping it neutral and just ask the question. Mick,
Yeah.
the question I want to ask you is then, which is related to your answer.
I didn't really finish my answer properly, but okay.
No, but I'm gonna come in because I don't want it to go further. But just to kind of add into it, and then you can wrap it together.
Sure, expand, yeah.
Yeah. So injuries have played a part, like you have said, and he doesn't want to go to one style and then try coming back to another style halfway through, and he just wants to stick to one style. But his in-game management, if you look at Casemiro against Palace, when a lot of people and a lot of pros were saying he should have moved Casemiro in the middle and put Amrabat at the back, who's probably more suited to playing at the back. Do you think his in-game management has not helped him either?
Well, that is where it comes my skepticism in his in-game management and his tactical ineptness to change to see. If you're going to talk about Casemiro, everyone saw it, but is he hanging Casemiro out to dry because he knows he's going to sacrifice him in the summer? He's going to go, is he exposing certain players that he doesn't want to be in the club? You look at the bench and it was only youngsters. Would you start at Jackson as a full debut, and that would derail Jackson's career? You don't do that. You just don't hang out the youngsters. So I think he used Casemiro as a sacrificial lamb, to be honest. And Johnny Evans was not really fit. So we instantly knew that the backline was getting slaughtered. But the problem that I have is your in-game management, which I'm going to address how it's going to be fixed in the summer, is that instantly you saw their lineup. They played 3 in the back and 4 in the midfield, right? So they destroyed us in the middle of the park by setting up a mid-block, meaning they were hunting in packs. We could not even get away from that press in the middle, right? They were targeting our right-hand side in terms of Diego Dalot and Anthony. So we could not even get a slack over there, right? So he didn't do substitutions until the 79th minute, which was, we've seen this before. We dropped leads many times, like that. Let's say Coventry, the 3-0 lead to 3-3, and it was unnecessary. But is it him or is it the mentality of the players? You as a manager can only do certain things. You give instructions. As you as a boss at work, you give instructions to your workers. And if they're not following, if they're not understanding, is it your fault, right? So you get my point at the end of the day. So where it's going to change is structure, right? We've seen the likes of Jason Wilcox coming on board now, developing a game plan, talking to Ten Hag. That means he's going to have accountability all of a sudden, right? They're going to develop a style of play, what they want to do, which they're going to pass down to the manager. A manager needs to follow this. You can no longer play this style of football. You need to rotate the squad. You can no longer have these injuries, because that's also going to be addressed. The training, everything, the coaching. We look like we haven't been coached at all. And the reason per se is that we don't really have a proper coaching staff either. So when Ten Hag came in the summer, he was only allowed to bring in 4 staff. The rest is there since Jose Mourinho. So you can see that mismatch. So what are we doing in training? Benny McCarthy is leaving. The attacking coach, the set piece coach got to go. The defensive coach got to go. And there's so many adjectives or, constables to sort of put into a bag and just mix it up. But the answer is not that easy. It's not that simple. But I certainly believe, Bilal, as a United fan, if I compare it to Arsenal with Arteta, similar, right? Arteta started to cook in the 3rd year, when they actually backed him. He finished 8th in 2 seasons. He got the chance to be backed to get rid of the deadwood players, right? So we definitely need to get rid of deadwood players before we get rid of another manager. I stand on that. And if you have 1 year left on your contract and you look at what is out there, there's not really much out there that is the best in class and that follows the Ineos ethos. So yeah, so my point is we will see a change shift if he stays, because he will have accountabilities. He will answer to Omar Barada, he will answer to Dan Ashworth, and he will answer to Wilcox as well, right? So right now you don't have any accountabilities above you, right? You don't have any sporting director there. You have only Joel Glazer that doesn't understand football. Hell, Joel Glazer doesn't even understand the offside rules. So hey,
You know, I agree with you to an extent. I agree with you where he's probably been the structure's not helped him. Where
it hasn't.
you know, 100%. You know, that's just not with him. That's with any of
And
them.
the media hasn't really helped him either.
No, they haven't helped him either. Where he should have helped himself, and he still can help himself, is if me and you can see certain players who are not stepping up to the mark, who are not, he shouldn't be playing them. Number one, if he has a better option, or if he goes in a different direction. The second thing, what really confuses me is why he doesn't try an alternative formation.
Yeah.
Right. And thirdly, what is it? Is his is you know, Mick, where he's losing a lot of support is the team just does not look like it's got any ideas. And we can look, me and you are just watching this on a screen, and he, with his analysts, are keep repeating the same mistakes, which are the gaps.
Yes.
And that is very concerning.
They looked uncoached, and pundits were saying that as well, and I agree, they look uncoached. But that comes down to you as a manager. You're responsible for your coaching staff. Are you paying attention? And that goes to what kind of drills are we practicing in training? You know, you have no excuse to say we don't have to practice new drills. But it comes down to the intelligence of the players as well. Are you getting the instructions right? Or are you just going gung-ho as soon as you get in there? Because mentality doesn't exist here. They're scared.
I watched the. I agree. I 100% agree with you. I watched the Champions League semi-final yesterday between Bayern and Real. And what I found really interesting, what Thomas Tuchel did was he took out Kinmin Jay, who cost him 2 goals in the first game. He took out Muller, and he
took off. What happened yesterday?
And he had Gnabry, and what he tried to do was hit him on the break. And what my point is, rather than analyzing that game, is he adapted to what he learned from the first game, whether some of his subs worked or didn't work. And then if you look at Ancelotti's in-game management, how he just changed it, went for it, made changes.
Listen, that is a total different gravy. You're talking about the Don Ancelotti. Like, you know, I want to talk about Don Ancelotti, 65 years of age, a little bit later, if that's okay with you. But I get your points, and we haven't seen much proactiveness from Erik Ten Hag doing these tactical changes. The only one that we saw was the FA Cup semi-final against Liverpool. Then he really went gun-ho and just started to mix up. It confused, Klopp, like to the point that we actually won that game. And I want to see more of that, because I know he's got it in his locker. But why is he being chicken shit?
He's running out of games, isn't he? Which brings me to my next question then, which is, should he stay until the end? If the results continue to, if they keep losing and getting smashed the way they are, should Erik Ten Hag stay until the final?
I don't see any. The realist in me says I don't see any point to have an interim, right, with 3 games to go. And from a business perspective, I don't see that either. Like, I don't think Ineos is even thinking and entertaining that thought, right? What I see is basically
backing him publicly, are they?
Well, they have said so that we are sticking with him. We are planning with him, but everything will be decided in the summer. But the problem is, we there is no other coach available in the summer that is molded in terms of what they want to achieve. You know, the ethos, right? And we're going to talk about Tuchel as well, 100%. But what we can pray is that these players are getting ready for war against City. That's the only chance for us to get into Europa League. And talking about dropping standards, like, getting excited to get into Europa League. But from a financial perspective, they will really help the club to go into transfer market because you will have more funds. But the transfer market, you really need to go and sell. And there's a couple of players that are out of contract with high wages going to really help, the FFP and the way we're going to spend. But the answer is I don't see it, right? What would you do? Like, that is a short-term fix. We cannot do that. We need to look at the long-term fix. And I'm not either Ten Hag in or Ten Hag out. I've always been keeping my stance clear. Like, I'm in the doubt category because it's all about standards, Bilal, right? I want him to succeed, but before even sacking a manager, my point is I want to see some of these players out of the club before even sacking another manager.
Yeah, I think where the worrying part for Ten Hag is, let's say, I'm just going to make up a scenario, is let's say they lose to Arsenal 3-0, right, at home.
Yep.
And they lose to Newcastle 3-0 as well, right? And they basically played off the park in both games. I feel the pressure will be too much, and I think Ineos, whether they sack him or not, will have to either back him actually with a statement or not him, because they're leaving him out to dry a little bit here, and they're like, well, he's going to take the fucking point, you just let him go down. And I think it's all good people saying, well, Brada's not in charge, Ashworth's not in charge. Mate, these guys, they bought in Wilcox, and you're telling me these guys are not having conversations weekly, daily, every other day. You're right. Is there another opportunity? Is there another option as an interim for a final? Probably not.
Can I ask you a devil's advocate question back?
Yeah.
What difference going to make if you have an interim? We cannot even make fourth, fifth. What difference going to make to the season? And would you gamble just to bring in an interim just to have a manager bounce against the depleted squad that we already had in the FA Cup final, right? So you got to prepare for this game tactically to shock Pep as well. Go 3 in the back, 5 in the midfield, whatever. Just win that game. That's all you can do. It's a cup final and anything can happen. So to get an interim for this doesn't really make sense. And financially speaking, it doesn't make sense for them either to pay out Ten Hag, the severance package to leave.
To answer that, the fan in me would want him to carry on, and hopefully he gets to that final and he wins it. And even if he is to leave, he leaves with his head held high, because it was a difficult 2 years. That's the fan in me. The realist in me is thinking, we are not Tottenham, we are Manchester United, and we can't go into a final already thinking we're going to get pumped, right? Or we're going to get beat. So then I'm thinking, if he loses to Arsenal and loses to Newcastle, Ineos will not want to be seen as dilly-dallying. And then if there is an option of somebody really short-term, I'm really going to throw a couple of names really short-term out there, whether that's you keep it in-house with Steve McLaren, whether you try Rooney, whether you try Jaap Stam, whether you try Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, whether you try fucking Sam Allardyce. My point is just that one game, because that squad is much better than what it performs on the pitch. We all must agree.
Yeah, but if you're gonna throw in McLaren is part of the problem and part of the coaching squad as well, and whispering into Nag's ear as well. So, what did McLaren do? He led the 3 Lions. That's all he's done and been an assistant. So I don't believe it.
But my point is we can't be going into a final already defeated, because if we fans are in this mentality that fucking hell, it's going to be 3, 4, 5.
No, we can't even go. We can't even go on the weekend now and thinking we're going to get defeated over Arsenal. So we have a chance to put a spanner in the wheel But it comes down to also the players' mentality. Let us not kid ourselves. Like, you got to look at who is available in this squad, and you got to look for, you look at Arsenal squad, you look at City squad, and do we have a chance? So yeah, you can have a chance to, how you prepare to set up. You cannot go in this stupid 4-2-1-3 model or whatever we're playing. I don't even know what the hell we're
3-1-6
playing.
it is.
Yeah. Or 5-5 or whatever, zero in the
Fucking hell,
midfield.
yeah,
You
it's,
can't. You can't. So you got to 100% do some changes, Bilal. Like, for Arsenal, let Arsenal be the springboard, or, what they call it, the rehearsal for the FA Cup. Try something different. Shock Arteta, because Arteta thinks that we're going to line up and play the same. So why don't you just go a little bit more pragmatic, or just flood that midfield? Because one thing we know that City and Arsenal will do is midfield. Man,
he's only done that twice where he's done a change. He did it against Liverpool away, if you remember the 0-0 at Anfield. And I forgot the other game now where he did it. It's totally blown my mind. I think it might have been City away as well, where he tried it. The problem is, though, if we go from the Wolves game to now, we've pretty much stayed this one system of man-to-man marking. So when everyone pushes up, the midfield push up, and which leaves the gap. I really can't see him changing that. You're right though. We should try an alternative system, but I think he's not done it so far with injuries. I don't see how
Mason Mount. I think Mason Mount can play a key, pivotal role for the remaining of the season. I mean, he was brought in for a special reason. We saw the first 10 minutes, against Crystal Palace. He offered energy, right? So I think you should start playing, Mason Mount as the destroyer in that midfield. Bruno should be where Bruno is, playing behind the striker, or even play two strikers. Play 4-4-2. Rasmus Højlund and Bruno Fernandes. Bruno works as a good shadow striker, but something has to change, because the formation we line up right now hasn't been working. We've seen far too many goals, and the midfield has been wide too stretched open if you're going to talk about it. But now I hear what you're saying. Now it's time to sort of close the gap, do something different. The proof will be in the pudding, Bilal. Will it do it?
Absolutely. What are your thoughts on the Thomas Tuchel links?
My thoughts on Thomas Tuchel is very real. I will say that it's not as real what the media is trying to say. It is more Thomas Tuchel telling his agents and entourage, "Hey, I'm open. Look," and they're feeding the press the fillers that he's not willing to go back to Bayern Munich, and rightfully so. He fell out yesterday, and it is like you going dating, man. You swipe right on Tinder, you see Manchester United. Oh, sexy lady, I swipe right, and you're waiting for United to swipe right back, but they're not swiping right back at. And the reason per se, and I'm going to keep it very brief and simple, he's not the manager what they're looking for. Why? Doesn't fit the persona profile. If you remember what Sir Jim Ratcliffe was saying, like, we are looking for the best in class people, not egos, but team players that will fit our cultural ethos. And that's what you see in the appointment of Omar Barada, Ashford, Wilcox, the humble people. Now, if you look at Tuchel, arguably to say that he might be the better manager than Ten Hag, but slightly, because he's been he won a Champions League with Chelsea, right, as an interim inbound manager that then they sacked. But he's been falling out from PSG, Chelsea, and Bayern as well, because he's got way too much ego. He doesn't gel with the board members. He doesn't like to be told. So that's why he's been sacked. So fans are more like, let's go for the next shiny thing. He won a Champions League, but excuse me, yesterday he bottled it with a 1-0 lead, and he went pragmatic to say, I'm taking off the only goal-scoring threat I have in Harry Kane and Musiabi and all that stuff. And one thing you should know about Carlo Ancelotti and Real Madrid, they always find a way. And that cost him. They were up 1-0, and that cost him the game, because after that, he didn't have any answers. He took off his offensive players, putting Kim Min-jae in there as well, and they did not have any answers. So what Carlo Ancelotti did was a mastermind tactical substitution. So if you ask me, will we swap a manager 2024? I said no. I would say that what I know is that they are planning for a successor for beyond Erik Ten Hag. And what is available 2025 is much, much better than the options that are on the table right now. Ancelotti, 65. I'm sorry. This guy is the Don, right? You have Javi Alonso that will be available. You have Pep Guardiola. This contract is finishing at City. And you know the link with, what we already had from the City Academy. What's to say that Pep might fancy to come over to Manchester United? I know you wouldn't like it, but he's a winner. He's, would you say no to Pep Guardiola?
Let me okay then. Let me ask you uh, uh, a linked question to that then, to your answer. If you're let's just say if you are Ivan Toney, I'm just making this up now, and Manchester United want to sign you, right? And Ten Hag is in charge and he's going into his final year. You're less likely to sign for a manager that's only there for a year and knowing that there'll be a managerial change.
I really like this question, really, because you know what it is. Behind the scenes, they're probably giving the reinsurance to the manager already because they need to do that when they go out and speak to agents and the players. Because as an intermediate, that's the first thing I ask. Okay, what about this project? Who's going to lead the team? And they probably said to them, "We're still gonna. This is our plan. This is what we're gonna do, and this is the manager." So forget about Ivan Toney. Talk about Ulisse. Ulisse release clause 55 million. He did a brilliant audition, and I would say sign him up 100%. But this is the questions they're going to ask. Will Ten Hag be here, or who's going to lead the team? What is the overall sporting project? Where's my role in it? So people forget this. You got a very valid point.
Mick, do you know? I think the only way this can be resolved is two ways, right? The first way is that they either back him with a new contract and said, "This is our guy for the next 3 years," right? Or they remove him. Because I can't see them going into next season with him with 1 year left on his contract, with the pressure that'll be on them and Ten Hag. And if they have a bad start to the season,
Well,
they cannot afford to write another season off like they've done with this one. So
Well,
they either
basically,
back him
if you don't
or
get
they
into
remove him.
Europa, I was sort of contra what you're saying there because I think it's good, right? That puts more responsibility on the manager. You don't have to do anything. You know this. The manager's got 1 year left on his contract, so there will be a probation period. They say, okay, Ten Hag, we understand that your season's been derailed by injuries. You had to deal with the takeover, fine. You had to deal with all these scandals and the player power, fine. But now you haven't worked on the proper structure because there hasn't been anyone. So let's see how you can do now with the proper structure, because that is the main priority, to put in the proper structure above the manager first and then go in the summer. Remember, I told you that Wilcox will play two double roles, and he's doing it, right? He's acting as an interim sporting director and head of recruitment at the moment, and also three roles, to be honest, and technical director, right? Before even the others are coming in. So they are planning for the summer, and let's see if he will be back. It's the Glazenomics out. Like, you can sell Rashford, you can sell anyone, what the Fire sell, right? And then you bring in the academy, because let's not kid ourselves. Ten Hag is there to develop youth as well, and Ratcliffe has also said, like, this is our DNA, the youth, right? We've seen what they want to do. They want to recruit, unknown quantities for 60 million. So the proof will be in the summer, mate. So I would say that, yeah. What's the point? From a logical perspective, just keep the guy for 1 year, see what he can do, with the right structure, with accountability, with instructions from the sporting director and everyone else to say, you have to rotate, you have to do this. This is the game plan, right? Because right now he doesn't have that. He does whatever he wants, right?
Yeah. Look, you're fully entitled to your point of view
And
there.
wait a minute. So basically, my point is that no Europa is good for United for one season if you are going to do a proper rebuild. This is a proper open heart surgery rebuild. Let's face it. So you will have this whole season like a Chelsea, just focusing on the domestic league. You will have more time to practice drills and training. So you don't have no pressure to perform in Europe. You know what I mean? You only have the domestic league, like, the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, and the Premier League, which I believe rightfully that we need to fucking focus on, right? So I agree with Ratcliffe what he said, like, you fan base need to have patience. It's the changes is not like a switch of a light bulb. So I am skeptical, but I'm also rational.
You know what the interesting thing is to me, where people are kind of miss this, is the Graham Potter Ajax issue, where he was supposed to be at the club 2 weeks ago to sign, and it's kind of he's holding off on it, and that tells me that there's something going on somewhere. I know
Well,
he's very.
Ajax have the priority, number one priority on the list is Erik Ten Hag. They want him back.
Yeah, they want him back, and I think with him, he's changed the goalposts at Ajax, with his demands to trying to delay this, and I think there's something in that, whether they hire Potter or not, or whoever, or they keep Ten Hag. I think in the next 2 weeks, we've got 2 more weeks, including the final, to go. I think we should have some clarity on this issue
But Potter
and
is
put it
not
to
the
bed.
guy either. Potter is not the guy. Listen, what has Potter done? Nothing. Listen,
I
he's
think
not the
Potter
guy.
fits their system a lot better, though. Is
Yeah, but
what
he's
my
not the
thinking.
guy. He's not the guy. You
He
saw
might
at
not be the.
Chelsea, they had. Now, listen, at Chelsea, they did a whole overhaul totally with young players. They couldn't manage it. You know what I mean? Um, of course, he established what Brighton wanted to do already because that was the playing style. But the De Zerbi just took it forward and put his touch on it. I don't rate. I don't want to see Potter. I don't want to see Tuchel. If we're gonna replace a manager, is you got to go for an upgrade. You know what I mean? An upgrade, like a Xavi Alonso, like a who else is out there? Like, I mentioned Don
Hansi
Carlo,
Flick's out there.
Hansi Flick. Well, also why not René Mullenstein to get him back in, right? Why not?
He was a shit manager. Yeah.
Just joking, man. But he's a
Yeah.
good assistant manager.
Yeah, he was. He was a very good assistant manager. Look, there's Hansi Flick out there. There's Jose
Mm.
Mourinho out there. There's Antonio Conte out there.
They are
If you remember,
dinosaurs past. The reason why I love, Don Carlo, because this guy has evolved. He hasn't stagnated. You look at managers like Mourinho, like Conte, they're dinosaurs. They don't evolve with the game. If I make a comparison, if you remember the pop star singer Madonna, how she kept staying alive because she was reinventing herself all the time.
of
What I
course,
saw yesterday from Don Carlo is this guy, 65 years old, but he understands this game. He didn't get the credit. He did fantastic tactical substitutions all the time. When he gives you the double eyebrow, he means business.
yeah, I think a game of that level is fine margins, which it was. If you look at the point where they've took off Kane, he had a back injury according to FC Bayern today. They've took off Kane. It's that one mistake by Neuer which has put him back in the game after the subs. But it's such a fine game of margin. It's so fine margins, and respect to him. I felt Bayern for played well. I felt Madrid played well, and sometimes quality comes through, which what happened yesterday. And I remember Don
Hmm.
Carlo going up against Alex Ferguson at Juventus. That's how long he's been around. So
Yeah, I
be
know, I
fair
know.
play to him.
And this is credit in the bank for Don Carlo. But if the club decides to part ways with Ten Hag, I will not cry. I will not. But
Mick,
there's
just
a fan sentiment in me that what if, like, then they will fall into the same glazonomic trap. Like, we haven't really, given a manager chance for 3
Mick,
years.
we all want Ten Hag to do well. Agreed, right? Most fans want him to do well, want him to
Yeah.
smash it, want him to really come home and take it, take us to the next level. But he has to give us something to cling on to and say, yeah, you know what? He's the man. You know what?
Yeah.
He gets it. He gets the in game. He just doesn't have the players. He doesn't have, but we can see it. We can see the tackle. If he had Olisi here, but at the moment, we're not even getting that. Coventry fucking scored 3 against us with the same problems.
Yeah. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, he gave us an indication against Liverpool semi-final. Like, and we saw like, wow, these guys can do it. He can switch things up, and they paid off. But we need to see more of this. We want, like, next season we want not to be as predictable, because players, teams know already how we're going to line up and what we're going to do, because we don't change at all. So I want next season to be more predictable. Sometimes you can play a 4-4-2, sometimes like 3 in the back, or sometimes play that formation. Use players in occasion to the game who your opponent is, right? But then it comes back again, Bilal, that you look at what availability we had this season, and some people say, well, Scott McTominay is not good enough, or Maguire is not good enough, but they've been there. They've been listening to the instructions of the manager and executed it, right? So I don't know, man. It's just like, let us just park this season and see what happens, right? So, I'm really mentally tired. All I have left is laughter as a therapeutical measures.
Let's move the conversation on a little bit then. So what other changes would you like to see happen over the summer and next season at Manchester United? So from a player aspect, structure aspect, what would you like to see happen?
Structure is already happening, so let's not talk about the structure. Facility, 100% Carrington, 100% needs to be upgraded. I mean, yeah, you have the training ground, is fantastic, but you need to hire proper physios, and you need to have the right instruments, and the right gym and everything, equipment. We had Savage, Jonathan Savage, his uncle of Charlie and brother of Robbie, on Monday, and he spoke about Charlie when he went to Reading. And Charlie actually said, like, I was surprised when I came to Reading, the facility was better than Carrington. And you wonder, what? A championship team has better facilities? But that tells you the story, even what Ronaldo was saying. Like, he was shocked after coming back after 20 years and the same shit. So that needs to be changed, because player welfare does matter, right? We had far too many muscle injury strains. Step number 2 is recruitment in the summer. I want to see a proper backing, out with the Glazonomics. Nobody deserves to stay, right? If you get a proper bid for Rashford, take it. Sell Sancho to the highest bidder, 45-50 million, right? And what I want to see is a proper out clearance. It's going to be the toughest job for them. And I want to see smart recruitment. And this is so important for them. They cannot go wrong in the summer. They got to get it right. So trust me, I know that they've been planning. They're looking at different centre-back pairings to see, is this going to work, right? The midfield as well, and a secondary striker, a striker next to Højlund. But they also have to make a decision on Greenwood as well, because they cannot linger on anymore.
I think they've made a decision on Greenwood based on what the Getafe president has said. He said that they want to sell him, basically, and they want to loan him for a year with an obligation.
Well, United don't. It's been said following, yes, Getafe wants to loan him for another season. United want to cash in. They have a certain fixed price in mind, 40-45 million. If they're not getting that, they're willing to take him back. They have extended his contract. Now, I know what a lot of people say, I cannot undone what I've seen, but I look at it from a footballing perspective and what our team needs, right? He is free. It doesn't cost us anything. And he had one season in Getafe where he's getting back into form. Man, if you need a right winger or a striker, this guy is fantastic. No, without any shadow of doubt, right? So I wouldn't say no to that. I can see it from both sides. Or you utilize that money and you sell him and you use that money to buy an Elise, right? But is Elise better?
He's better than what we have.
Yeah, but is it better than Greenwood?
Oh no, no, no. Great. Look, from a
Oh,
purely
for
footballing
me,
aspect,
from a footballing aspect, Anthony Dos Santos needs to go. That hasn't worked out. I'm a big advocate for Anthony Dos Santos when he came in, but he does not fit in this system at all. Maybe if we change it a little bit, we have better fullbacks that can do interlapping, overlapping, and stuff like that, bombing forward, because maybe then he will work. Right? Evidential to see how he was operating at Ajax, he had the proper support. Like he had the different output numbers, but at this stage, I say sell him 100%.
you've got three right wingers you could really sell. You could sell Palistri, you could sell
Oh,
Ahmad,
Pulisic will not. Yeah, then he will be sold, I think.
you could sell Palistri, Ahmad, and Anthony are three you could sell straight away.
Yeah,
Um,
Ahmad,
and
I would like to. Ahmad. Out of all of them, I see Ahmad to stay. Yeah,
Mick, I don't see him staying. Reason being because he's just wasting. He's not getting game time at all, and he's at a stage where he needs to play regular games, and he's not going to get that at United. You can just see that. So it's
yeah,
best to just sell him, and then if you can bring in Elise. But just back to the Mason Greenwood point, just so I can add in, is that from a footballing aspect, this guy's phenomenal.
he is
Right wing,
phenomenal.
centre forward. He's double footed. He's
Yeah,
good in the air. He can dribble. He can drop. He's a
yeah.
phenomenal player. But I think if you look at Radcliffe's interviews, one of them where he said, we won't listen to the hype. We listen to the facts. And based on the club's values and traditions and ethos, we'll make a decision. I can't see him staying. There'll be too much uproar within the women alone. Hence why I think they'll just
But
cut their losses
here's
with
the
him.
thing. Here's the thing that this power wins. Power then wins. You cave in. Now, I think that they have properly. They said even more. They're looking more of the character rather than the public opinion, right? So it's going to be damn interesting to see what they're going to do, because let us not kid ourselves. Like, Richard Arnold got sacked because of this issue, right? He caved in to the public pressure, to the minority pressure, right? He was declared non-guilty. They've done a proper review internally within HR and find evidence that we in the public didn't get to hear, and they found
Mm.
in no grounds. So they decided, they went to Ten Hag and they said, you will keep Mason Greenwood. And somebody leaked it out to the press, which created a shitstorm. And they had to do what they have to do, which they didn't sell him. They loaned him out, and they're now extending his contract as well, because they was hoping that the media noise will calm down a bit, right? So there's a reason why they didn't sell him. They just loaned him out, right? Firstly, to get minutes to play, and they will assess it in the summer. They will try again, right? So what you see right now is they're trying to sell him for 45 million because it's pure profit FFP. But if they don't get that money, you see there's been statements to say we're willing to take him back.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. It will be interesting. I think regarding changes, I think they've already announced the work for Carrington in the summer. I don't know if you saw that report a few days ago.
Yeah, I
Uh,
read it. Yeah.
yeah, so that's in the process. From what I can see regarding that report, is that the work looks quite temporary to me. Hence, what I think they might be still looking at moving the whole
Yeah.
thing or having another training ground. But at least they're doing something, which is a positive step. Um,
Yeah. But just add on one more point. So in terms of recruitment, what I want to see is recruiting ballers, recruiting athletes, runners, and I think that is, and also mental profile, with the strong mental profile. And I think that's what they're doing. Like if you look at centre backs, Todibo, looking Gleason Bremer as well. I don't think that this Braithwaite is just overhyped.
He's
75
really
million is.
overhyped. He's not worth 50 him. He's
Don't even look at
terrible.
him, because if you do that, you do another Harry Maguire. No way, no way, Jose. Right?
Yeah,
You might even get a what's his toss in for free from Fulham. You might even
yeah.
get players out of contract, or players that's got
Ross
1 year left on
Barkley.
his contract. Yeah, Ross Barkley, stuff like that. I want to be surprised. So I want to see a total new team. And I don't see Bruno going anywhere. I see Hoyland's development. I see Kobe Mainoo being developed. Look, you can build a really good midfield around Kobe Mainoo and Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount, and add in more flair, more engine in there, like, people that can hold the ball, right? And fix up the center defense, and maybe look at Frimpong as a fullback as well. Better fullbacks as well. Diego Delo, most improved, but we need somebody to challenge him as well. Aaron Wan-Bissaka will be sold, I believe, because he doesn't really fit. He's really good defensively, but he needs to go as well. So I want to see a totally new revamp of the squad in terms of no more player power, and I want to see fight, grit, determination, and an identity.
You know, one thing fans need to understand is not every signing needs to be sexy. And I'm going to give an example
Doesn't
of
have.
this. If you take Eric Dyer, who was ridiculed in the British media for being shit, and I watched him over 2 legs against Real Madrid, and he played very, very well.
Yeah.
He at no point looked out of place. So sometimes, if it is a Ross Barkley or even an Eric Dyer as an example, it might not be the most glamorous signing, but sometimes it can work really, really well. And we need at least 9, 10 players, not all in one window, but we need to
Yeah.
be open to these type of signings.
Yeah, like on Monday when we spoke to Jonathan Savage, Robbie wasn't the best technical player, but Robbie was the one that was always in your face, bam, hitting you, bam, and opponents hated him for being that, the destroyer. But he was not the most gifted player. But everyone that played with him, they loved him because he put his heart and sleeves and his body on the line. So in the midfield, we miss that destroyer. You know what I mean? We miss that dirty midfielder that will just break your legs. You know what I mean?
They're hard to come by at the moment. Chelsea seem to sign them all up, but yeah, we need to go and scour the world for them. Just on my last question, then, which I thought would be a good way to end on today's show. What's your
Let me.
thoughts on Jadon Sancho and the hype around him now?
You mean Jason Sancho?
Yeah,
I think that the original Jadon stayed in Dortmund, and they loaned out his twin brother Jason. Look, I think it's good for Jadon Sancho. I don't think his levels are suited for Premier League. There was a reason why he was sold by City to Dortmund as well. I think he's suited in the continental Europe. I mean, player power needs to go. If we take him back, that player power wins. So he might have a so-so season at Dortmund, but they are interested to keep him. And by qualifying into finals, we get to we get an extra 4 million euros, I think, on top of that 3 million euro loan deal. So, and of course they want to sort of twist our arm to buy him on the cheap. And I said, no, eat your own medicine, because you extorted us. So if you want him, let the best man win. There might be other clubs in for him as well, Real Madrid or Barcelona or PSG. You never know, man.
You're very right. I think he suits a game where there's high lines and there's space in behind. Like PSG play with a high line, Germany they play a high line, and there's a lot of space in behind. When there's, for example, you play a team that's really deep, like let's say Sheffield United, he struggles against them type of teams. He's more of a, and the thing is, the pressure at Dortmund is a lot less than what it is at Manchester
Yeah.
United. I I didn't think he had a brilliant game on Tuesday. I thought he was all right, and they took
All
him
right.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he set the world on fire that people are making out. And at the end of the day, that is his level. Because if we're saying, oh well, he's got to a final, we should take him back. Should Andre Onana went to a final last year? So did Damian. So did Lukaku, Alexis Sanchez, Mkhitaryan. They played for Inter in the final last year. Should we take all of them back as well then? It's not the level, and I think he's okay at that kind of midish level in Germany. He's not any better than that. He's not better than Leroy Sané, for example, in my opinion. But Mick, shall I tell you something really interesting? I don't know whether you spotted this. He plays right wing for Dortmund.
Mhm.
And they used to say in England he wants to play left wing and he can't play right
Yeah,
wing.
I know.
And he was playing right wing.
Well, we recruited him in as a right winger, didn't we?
Yeah, but then he said, then Solskjaer said he wanted to play left wing only.
I don't know. It doesn't matter because for me, Jadon Sancho was a flop in the first instance. He wasn't fancied by, he wasn't played by Solskjaer. His demeanor is not really helped us, and the fact is that he had a fallout with the club and his teammates and everything else just proves that he wanted to have this move. And I know that the headlines are like, Jadon Sancho in the Sancho, he beat Ten Hag, blah, blah. That's not the fact. The fact is you have to look at the player himself and his own mentality, right? And the fact when he came back to Dortmund and he kissed the badge, and that pissed me off. Like, you couldn't done that at United, and you did this for Dortmund. Nah, sell him, man. Sell him. We got to be ruthless. We have to be ruthless. And even if we get a bid for Rashford, and we had this Rashford debate a long, long time, if we get a bid from PSG, sell him, because we need to build a new squad. We got to get rid of, if we are doing a proper rebuild, we need to, look at these players as well and just build a new squad with mentality, with runners. So if we get an Elise and he's a runner, 100%, he's much better than Sancho, right?
Oh, yeah,
and I don't like this. I don't like. I don't know what. I don't like this inverted wingers thing either, right?
But
inverted wingers work if you have a proper fullbacks bombing forward.
Agreed. And my last question then, Mick, what's your game prediction for the weekend?
Shit. I'm not very confident, and
I don't think anyone is, right? And that's just being honest. And
I
they
mean,
are very well organized.
like, our good friend Andy Tate, he's checked out for the season. He's going to Cyprus on Friday.
I saw in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah. And I kind of feel the same. Like, I don't feel any more excitement. We have nothing to play for more than pride, and I don't want City to win another 4p. So I'd rather have. I'm not going to say forfeit the game, but either way. Let's say if Arsenal win all the games and City win all the games, City wins the league anyway with 1 point. So what we can do here is just rock up for pride and potentially put a spanner in the wheel for Arsenal. But then we allow City to win another 4p, which I don't want. But what my prediction? I think we're going to get beaten. I think we are waiting for a spanking 3-0.
That'll be very difficult for them to do.
I mean, this is the first time that I say we're going to lose. But my heart says, my United heart says, please do something, line up something different and just go for it, right? Just go for it. Perhaps Mick, we get a 2-1 win. I don't know.
I can't see us getting another point anywhere.
I can't see that either.
Arsenal, I can't see us beating. I can't see us being Newcastle, and we've got a terrible record at Brighton. I think really, like you said at the start, we should use this game to propel and get ready for the final.
Yes.
But I don't see him doing that, really. I just see him just going through the motions, and it'll be a similar setup, probably similar tactical approach. And Arsenal are probably the most organized team I've seen this season.
Oh, they deserve the win. They deserve to win the Prem. Yeah.
They're very, very good. So it's not going to be like Liverpool, who are quite open and you score, you attack, we attack. They're very tactical in their play. But hopefully, you never know, we could get an Ahmad winner if he gets on the pitch.
We will see. But it's all depending on how we're lining up and how we set up and everything. This is Old Trafford we're talking about, by the way, as well. So, I mean, you got to give credit to the match-going fans that haven't given up. Like, at Crystal Palace, there was there applauding, chanting to the very end. So you know, I don't think I mean, I'm starting to down tool as a broadcaster, a little bit as a, fan, because it's just been draining. But of course, the closer we get to the game, the more giddy we get in Bilal as well, the more excited we get. And, what's the point of supporting a team if you don't have a belief that you can actually do a result, right? So, but this is the first time they say, "Are we going to lose?" But the heart in me says we're going to win.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mick, it's been a pleasure having you
It's
on
always a
again
pleasure, man.
weekly. Guys, wherever you're watching, please subscribe, please support. It's not easy doing these as we
Love
keep
and
losing
like.
games.
No,
It's
it's
quite
not easy.
difficult to come up with the questions, but we'll be back next week. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you for watching. Peace out.